the question that domesticated mind asks in my book is, how can there be something from nothing, right? That's the
Mhm.
philosophical question. Like, why is there something rather than nothing? And what this implies is that nothing is the status quo, and it's like the canvas on which you paint reality. Nothing. Um,
Right.
and out of nothing, then comes the Big Bang. That's kind of weird, but it's there. And then there's something, and then you have like these parts, these separated parts, these particles, um, that exists on the background of nothing, like empty space, the vacuum. And in between these parts, there's nothing, so that's why they're separate. Um, Whereas if you look into the ocean, for example, uh, the fish are in a sense separate, but they're also connected through the ocean, right? Because the
Yeah.
canvas is something that they're painted on, not nothing. Um, and interestingly enough, you can. So this is a way that seems to make sense if you don't really question it too much to explain this reality. But it will create fear. It will create downward spirals and all of that stuff. Domestication. But liminal mind, on the other hand, makes an makes a move that's equally valid, even more valid, I would say, because liminal mind is able to understand domesticated mind, but still has a higher order perspective that also can explain everything and even domesticated mind, which is the canvas of reality is not nothing, but everything, which is infinity, like the source, infinity, the infinity containing all other infinities.
Yeah.
Um, and when you do that, there's this interesting, like I love it so much because I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, and the album The Dark Side of the Moon has, the album cover with the white light and the prism where it breaks it into the rainbow. So that's actually my visual vocabulary when thinking about this kind of stuff. It's like the white light is like the source. In Buddhism, it's called emptiness. And then it kind of refracts into the rainbow, and the rainbow is like form. The thing is that there is like a translation error in the term emptiness. I don't know the original Sanskrit word or whatever language it comes from. But I know that Ken Wilber said emptiness is actually like a misnomer because you think it's nothing. Emptiness implies nothingness in a sense, right? Or
Mm.
like that's kind of like the vibe, right? There's nothing, like it's just empty.
Right.
But he says
Yeah.
no, it's empty because it's what it really is it's like a fullness. It's so full that there's no space left for any form. So what you really have to think about is more like emptiness is actually fullness. And it's like the white light. The white light has no color, not because there is not because of the absence of color, but because
Hmm.
of the presence of all colors. But if you mix all colors, you just get white light. You lose all of them by mixing all of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a way where it's like, oh, so if I have the color red over here and the color blue over here, and in between it's just white, then it's not separate, you know, because the canvas is in between them is not nothing but everything. And if
Hmm.
there's everything, then you can't perceive it because you need contrast to perceive anything.
Hmm.
So this is like replacing the nothingness canvas with the everything canvas. So and then the question becomes trivial. How can there be something from everything? Well, it makes sense, right? Like it's not hard. If you have everything, to create something out of everything is trivial. What you
Right.
just do is like, what is the color red? Well, it's not the presence of the color red. It's the absence of all other colors. So this
Yeah.
moment right here that we're experiencing is not the presence of this moment. It's the absence of all other moments, right? Like with the colors, it's just more
Yeah.
complex.
Yeah. I
And
see.
and this is like it's a valid way. It's a more valid way, I would say, to perceive reality. Then it's like God or source or all that is like the canvas of everything. and by extension, everything is interconnected because there's separation implies nothing is between something, right? That's how you separate stuff.
Yeah.
But with if everything is in between, then it's obviously all everything, you know? It's all wholeness and oneness. Like infinity implies oneness because infinity really, like this type of infinity I'm referring to, is different than the infinity of the real number line, for example. Because you could argue, or like the natural numbers, you can count infinitely in one direction. So this is a type of infinity, but it's a lesser infinity because it doesn't contain all the other infinities. Because what it is, it's finite in the sense that there is limitation because it's limited to that line, right? Um,
Okay.
but the source, the true infinity that contains all other infinities is just unboundedness. There is no limit. So that type of infinity can only be one. Because if I would say I can show you like this is not part of infinity, then this type of infinity would be limited, you know,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
wouldn't include that. So
Yeah.
that it wouldn't be true infinity anymore. So like this infinity that people connect to the source
Right.
implies oneness.